Welcome back to the channel where we uncover the hidden value of everyday coins and dive deep into the fascinating world of numismatics. Today's video is about a coin that millions of people have handled without giving it a second thought. It's the 1965 Washington quarter. On the surface, this might seem like an ordinary piece of pocket change, but what if I told you that one version of this coin has been valued at an unbelievable $1.8 million? Yes, that's right, a 25-cent coin from 1965 could be worth more than a mansion, more than most supercars, and even more than some lottery prizes. So what's the story behind this quarter? Why is it so valuable? And could you be holding one of these rare coins without even knowing it? Let's take a journey through history, mystery, and market madness as we uncover the incredible truth about the 1965 Washington quarter. To understand the true value of the 1965 quarter, we have to go back to the early 1960s. Up until 1964, United States quarters were made of 90% silver. They weren't just money, they were real precious metal. But by the mid-60s, the value of silver had skyrocketed. People were hoarding coins, melting them down for the silver content, and creating a coin shortage. The government needed to act fast. In 1965, the U.S. Mint made a historic change. The Coinage Act of 1965 eliminated silver from dimes and quarters. From that point on, quarters would be made of a copper core, layered with a nickel outer coating. This new composition was cheaper and helped solve the silver shortage. And just like that, the era of silver quarters came to an end. The new 1965 clad quarters were produced in huge quantities. More than 1.8 billion quarters were minted that year. That means the vast majority of 1965 quarters are extremely common. Even today, you can find them in circulation. Most are only worth face value. But here's where things get interesting. During the transition from silver to clad coinage, the U.S. Mint experienced some growing pains. Mistakes happened, and those mistakes gave birth to some of the rarest coins in American history. Among those mistakes were a small number of 1965 Washington quarters that were accidentally struck on leftover silver plancase from 1964. These silver plancase should have been completely removed from the minting process, but a few slipped through. As a result, a handful of 1965 quarters were struck in 90% silver instead of the new copper-nickel clad composition. These are the coins that collectors dream of finding. Now let's talk about how to identify one of these rare silver 1965 quarters. First, the weight is the biggest clue. A regular clad 1965 quarter weighs about 5.67 grams. A silver quarter weighs closer to 6.25 grams. That's a small difference, but with a digital scale, you can easily tell them apart. Second, check the edge. A clad quarter will have a visible copper-colored stripe along the edge. A silver quarter will be solid silver-colored all the way around. Third, look at the color and sound. Silver quarters have a brighter shine and produce a higher pitched ring when dropped on a hard surface. If you suspect you have a silver 1965 quarter, the last thing you want to do is clean it. That can ruin its value instantly. What you should do is send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can authenticate the coin and assign it a grade based on condition, which is a major factor in determining value. Now let's talk about the $1 million coin. One of these extremely rare 1965 silver quarters was discovered in pristine, uncirculated condition. It was sent for grading and came back with an exceptional mint state rating. Because of its rarity, composition, and near-perfect condition, this coin became a white whale in the coin collecting world. It was sold in a private sale for an estimated $1.8 million. That's right, a quarter that should have been worth just 25 cents became a multi-million-dollar treasure. It's one of the most valuable modern coins ever recorded. But here's the exciting part. These rare silver 1965 quarters weren't released as part of any special collector's set. They made it into general circulation. That means one of them could still be out there, sitting in a coin jar, tucked away in a forgotten drawer, or hiding at the bottom of a cash register tray. And that's why collectors all over the country are checking their quarters with a little more care. Even if you don't find the legendary silver quarter, There are other reasons to pay attention to your 1965 coins. High-grade examples of the regular copper-nickel 1965 quarter can still be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. A 1965 quarter graded mint state 67 by PCGS sold for over $1,500. These high-grade coins are rare because most quarters from that time were used and abused in everyday transactions. Finding one in flawless condition is like finding a needle in a haystack. There are also known mint errors from 1965 that can boost value. These include off-center strikes, double dies, and clipped plant case. Some of these mistakes are obvious, and others are subtle. Either way, they can turn an ordinary coin into something truly valuable. So what does this all mean for you? It means that the next time you get change from the grocery store or empty your pockets at the end of the day, you should take a moment to check your quarters. Look for the date, check the edge, weigh it if you can. That one extra step could be the difference between tossing a coin into a jar or discovering a life-changing treasure. Coins are more than just currency. They're history, art, and mystery all in one. The 1965 Washington quarter is a perfect example of how a simple object can carry enormous value, not just in dollars, but in the stories they tell and the thrill of the hunt. Thanks for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video and want more stories about rare coins, collecting tips, and the secrets hiding in your spare change, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another update. Let me know in the comments if you've ever come across a rare or valuable coin. Until next time, keep your eyes open, your pockets full, and your curiosity alive. Happy hunting, and I'll see you in the next video. If you'd like help turning this into a series or adding visual cues for editors or a teleprompter version, just let me know. Welcome back to the channel, where we uncover the hidden stories and big surprises buried in your pocket change. Today's episode is going to blow your mind, because we're talking about a coin that most people would pass off as nothing special. It's the 1993 Washington quarter. That's right, a 25-cent coin minted in the early 90s that has recently been at the center of one of the most unbelievable stories in coin collecting history. One rare example of this coin has been reported to be worth an astonishing $1.2 million. You heard that correctly. A Washington quarter from 1993 with a Denver mint mark, potentially worth more than most luxury cars, even more than some homes. So what's the deal? What makes this coin so valuable? Is it real? How can you tell if you have one? Let's dive into it. Let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter has been a staple of American currency since 1932. It was originally created to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first president of the United States. The design features his profile on the front, or the obverse, and for decades the reverse featured an eagle with wings spread. That design remained in place all the way up until the launch of the 50-state quarters program in 1999. The quarter is probably the most commonly used coin in American commerce. Millions of them pass through hands every single day. In 1993, the Denver Mint produced over 620 million Washington quarters. That's an enormous number, which would make you think that the coin is common and not worth more than face value. And in most cases, you'd be absolutely right. A circulated 1993 quarter in average condition is worth exactly 25 cents. Even some uncirculated versions in decent condition might fetch only a few dollars. So what makes one of those quarters worth over $1 million? The answer lies in a very rare and mysterious mint error. There have been reports, confirmed by experienced collectors and numismatic experts, of a 1993 quarter that was accidentally struck on a silver placket. That's right. While all circulation quarters since 1965 have been made of copper-nickel clad, someone discovered a 1993 quarter with the look, weight, and composition of a pre-1965 silver coin. How is that even possible? There are a few theories. Some experts believe that the silver placket may have been left over from the special silver-proof sets made for collectors. Others think it could have been a testing error or an accidental use of the wrong metal. Regardless of how it happened, The result is one of the most unexpected and rarest modern mint errors in recent memory. The silver version of the 1993D quarter was authenticated and professionally graded. Its surface, luster, and weight were all consistent with 90% silver coins from the earlier era. The weight difference is significant. A regular clad quarter weighs 5.67 grams. A silver quarter weighs about 6.25 grams. That small difference is a big clue if you're trying to check your own coins at home. The story gets even crazier. According to private sales reports, the only known silver-struck 1993D Washington quarter sold through a private auction for a mind-blowing $1.2 million. That number has been hotly debated in collector circles, but multiple sources confirm that a private collector paid over seven figures for the coin due to its uniqueness, the mystery surrounding its creation, and its pristine condition. Even if that exact amount is in question, there is no doubt that this coin is extremely valuable. But that's not the only thing that makes the 1993D quarter interesting. There are also several other known errors from that year that can bring in big money. Some collectors have found off-center strikes, double die obverse errors, and even quarters struck on foreign plan case or the wrong coin blanks entirely. These coins can be worth hundreds or even thousands depending on their condition and rarity. Even a high-grade normal 1993D quarter, if it's in mint state 68 or higher, can sell for hundreds or more at auction. That's because condition really matters. Coins with sharp details, no scratches, and original luster are always in demand by serious collectors. So how do you know if you have a valuable 1993D quarter? First, check the mint mark. Look for the letter D on the right side of Washington's ponytail. Then, examine the coin for any signs of doubling in the lettering or numbers. Look for off-center images, weak strikes, or anything that looks out of the ordinary. If the coin feels heavier or sounds different when you tape it on a hard surface, it might be made of silver. The easiest way to know is to weigh the coin with a digital scale. If it comes in over 6 grams, you might be onto something. And finally, the most important step is to have the coin professionally graded and authenticated by a trusted service like PCGS or NGC. These companies will examine the coin and confirm whether it's genuine, what errors it might have, and what its grade is. Now let's talk about why this matters. Most people go their entire lives without giving a second thought to the change in their pockets. But as we've seen, one overlooked quarter could be worth more than a luxury sports car. This is what makes coin collecting so thrilling. It's not just about history or art or metal. It's about the potential of finding something extraordinary where no one else is looking. $1 million coin could be hiding in plain sight. So next time you get change from a vending machine, from a gas station, or from the grocery store, take a moment to check it. That little 1993D quarter could be the most valuable thing you've ever owned. And if you're someone who has a coin jar at home filled with old quarters, it might be time to go digging. You never know what kind of treasure is sitting there waiting to be discovered. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want more stories about rare and valuable coins, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next incredible discovery. Have you ever found a rare coin in your change? Let us know in the comments. Until next time, keep hunting, keep learning, and happy collecting. Let me know if you'd like a version optimized for mobile viewers or cut into shorter sections for shorts or reels. Welcome back to the channel where we uncover hidden treasures, rarest coins. Break down coin history, and reveal how the change in your pocket might be worth a fortune. In today's video, we're talking about the 1971D Washington quarter. At first glance, this coin looks completely ordinary. You've probably handled hundreds, maybe even thousands of them without a second thought. But what if I told you that one of these quarters was sold or at least valued for an unbelievable $1.5 million? Yes, a simple 25-cent coin from 1971 minted in Denver could be worth more than a Lamborghini, more than some houses, and more than most people earn in a decade. So how did this happen? What makes the 1971D Washington quarter so special? Is this just a rumor, Or is there really $1.50 coin out there? Stick around, because we're about to explore the full history, break down the facts, and reveal exactly what you need to look for to see if you might be holding a fortune in your pocket. Let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter has been in circulation since 1932. It was originally designed to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington and features his bust on the front, or obverse, of the coin. The reverse features a majestic bald eagle perched on arrows and surrounded by olive branches, symbolizing both strength and peace. This design, created by sculptor John Flanagan, was the standard for the Washington quarter until the state quarters program began in 1999. Now fast forward to 1971, the Denver Mint, which is marked with a small letter D just to the right of Washington's ponytail, struck hundreds of millions of quarters that year. Specifically, over 258 million quarters were minted in Denver alone. That means by all accounts, the 1971 Washington quarter should be one of the most common coins out there, and in most cases, it is. A circulated example from your pocket change today is still worth just 25 cents, maybe a little more if it's in good condition. But, as we've seen many times in numismatics, rarity and value are often hidden behind tiny details and strange mistakes. This is where the story takes a dramatic turn. According to collectors and experts, a rare mint error involving a 1971 quarter has pushed its value into the stratosphere. One particular coin, reported in private sales and discussed in numismatic circles, was struck on a silver planchet. That's right, a quarter made out of silver. In 1971, when no business strike quarters were supposed to be silver anymore. It's important to remember that the United States stopped making silver quarters for general circulation in 1964. Starting in 1965, all quarters were struck using a copper-nickel clad composition. But somehow, in 1971, a leftover silver planchet from earlier years or from special collector sets was accidentally used at the Denver Mint. The result, a modern-looking quarter that's technically made of precious metal, making it extremely rare and potentially one of a kind. Now what makes this particular error so valuable isn't just the metal, it's the combination of the mistake, the timing, and the flawless condition of the coin when it was discovered. This rare 1971 quarter was found to weigh slightly more than a standard clad quarter. Instead of the usual 5.67 grams, this coin weighed closer to 6.25 grams at the same weight as a traditional 90% silver quarter. That tiny difference raised some red flags, and after close inspection by professional graders and experts, the coin was authenticated as a legitimate error, a 1971 silver quarter that was never supposed to exist. Because of its unique nature and pristine condition, the coin was given a high mint state grade and went on to sell through a private collectors network for an estimated $1.5 million. Now to be clear, not every 1971 quarter is worth that much. But this specific coin, with its silver planchet, high grade, and one-of-a-kind status, was enough to capture the attention and wallet of an elite collector willing to pay a fortune to own a piece of minting history. But this isn't the only interesting aspect of the 1971 quarter. There are other errors from that year that can fetch impressive prices as well. Some 1971 quarters have been found with double die obverse errors, where the date or the word Liberty shows doubling under magnification. Others have been discovered with off-center strikes, clipped plancase, or even struck on wrong coin blanks intended for foreign coins or other denominations. Each of these minting mistakes adds to a coin's rarity and can increase its value from a few dollars to several thousand depending on the severity of the error and the condition of the coin. So what should you be looking for? First, always check the date. If you find a 1971 quarter, weigh it. A standard clad quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. Anything significantly heavier, especially in the 6.2 gram range, could mean the coin is made of silver. Next, look at the color. Silver coins have a much brighter shine and lack the telltale copper core you can see on the edge of modern quarters. If it looks silver, feels different, or sounds different when dropped on a hard surface, Take a closer look. Also inspect for any doubling in the letters, numbers, or design details. Look for off-center strikes, unusual cuts, or signs that the coin was struck on a different blank. If you think you've found something unusual, the worst thing you can do is clean it. Never clean a coin. That destroys its value. Instead, have it graded and authenticated by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. They'll give you a detailed report on the coin's condition and any potential errors. What's incredible about the coin world is how something so small can be worth so much. The 1971D quarter is a perfect example. While hundreds of millions were made, it only takes one minting mistake, one overlooked detail, to turn that ordinary pocket change into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. A $1.5 million coin hiding in plain sight. So next time you're going through your change jar, rolling coins, or just getting a quarter from the vending machine, take a second and really look, because history shows us time and again that treasures aren't always buried deep underground. Sometimes, they're just hiding in your pocket. If you enjoyed this video and want more stories about rare coins, valuable finds, and tips for spotting hidden gems, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a drop. Let us know in the comments if you've ever found a rare coin, or what coin you dream of discovering. Until next time, keep your eyes open, your scales handy, and your curiosity alive. You never know when your next coin might change your life. Let me know if you'd like a visual storyboard version for editing or if you want a script optimized for shorts or TikTok-style reels based on this longer video. Welcome back to the channel where history, money, and mystery all come together in the world of rare coins. Rarest coins. Today, we are diving into one of the most surprising and valuable pieces of pocket change in American coin history, the 1965 Washington quarter, a coin most people think is worth just 25 cents. But behind that simple appearance lies a story filled with economic change, minting errors, and collector obsession. One particular 1965 quarter has been valued at a mind-blowing $1.7 million. Yes, you heard that right, one coin, worth just a quarter on its face, now valued at over $1.5 million. So what makes this coin so valuable? Why is the 1965 quarter different from others? Could one of these be sitting in your house, right now, without you even knowing it? Get ready to discover the full story behind the 1965 Washington quarter and find out what makes it one of the most sought-after coins in the world. Let's start with the history. Up until 1964, quarters in the United States were made of 90% silver. These coins were more than just currency. They were made of real, valuable metal. But in the early 1960s, the price of silver began to rise fast. The metal inside the coins started to be worth more than the coins themselves. People began hoarding silver coins. Others melted them down for profit. And very quickly, the United States faced a nationwide coin shortage. In response, Congress passed the Coinage Act of 1965. This act changed the composition of coins, starting with the dime and the quarter. From that year forward, the Washington quarter would no longer be made of silver. Instead, it would be made of a copper core with an outer layer of nickel. This new copper-nickel-clad design would be cheaper to produce and help the government avoid a crisis. Now here's where the mystery begins. In 1965, the U.S. Mint was under tremendous pressure to produce massive amounts of coinage to meet demand. In the rush, something unexpected happened. Some leftover silver plan case from 1964 were mistakenly used in the minting process. These plan case were supposed to be removed, melted down, or used for special silver sets only. But a few made their way into the presses. As a result, a handful of 1965 quarters were struck using silver, even though they were never meant to be. These accidental silver quarters are now considered mint errors. But they're not just any errors. They are among the rarest modern coins in U.S. history. Only a small number have ever been confirmed. And one of them, in near-perfect condition, has been valued at an astonishing $1.7 million. Now let's talk about how you can tell the difference between a regular 1965 quarter and one of those ultra-rare silver ones. The first thing to do is check the weight. A normal copper nickel 1965 quarter weighs about 5.67 grams, but a 1965 quarter struck on a silver planchet will weigh around 6.25 grams. That difference might seem small, but it is the most reliable indicator. You can use a digital jewelry scale to check the weight down to hundredths of a gram. Next, look at the edge of the coin. Regular clad quarters have a visible copper-colored stripe along the edge, but the silver quarter will be solid silver-colored all the way around. Also pay attention to the sound. When dropped on a hard surface, silver coins make a much higher-pitched, ringing sound compared to the dull thud of a clad coin. If you have a 1965 quarter that looks and feels different, weighs heavier, and shows no copper on the edge, you might have found something truly special. Now let's talk about the $1 million coin. One particular 1965 silver quarter was discovered in absolutely pristine, uncirculated condition. It was submitted to a top grading agency and received a high mint state grade, making it one of the best preserved examples in existence. Because of its rarity, condition, and historical importance, it caught the attention of elite collectors. In a private transaction, this coin was valued at approximately $1.7 million. That makes it one of the most expensive rare coins in United States history. But that's not the only valuable 1965 quarter out there. Even standard clad 1965 quarters can be worth good money if they are in exceptional condition. For example, a 1965 quarter graded mint state 67 by PCGS has sold for over $1,500. The reason? The U.S. Mint didn't release official mint sets in 1965. Most coins were made for circulation, not for collectors. As a result, finding a 1965 quarter in flawless condition is extremely rare. There are also known mint errors involving the 1965 quarter. Some coins were struck off-center, some have double die errors, and others have clipped plancase. All of these varieties are worth more than face value and can sell for hundreds or thousands of dollars depending on their condition. So what should you do if you think you found a valuable 1965 quarter? First, never clean the coin. Cleaning destroys its original surface and will severely lower its value. Second, weigh it carefully. If it weighs over 6 grams, you may have something rare. Third, look at the edge. If it is solid silver all the way around, that's a huge clue. And finally, send it to a professional coin grading service. Companies like PCGS or NGC can verify its authenticity, detect mint errors, and assign an official grade that determines its market value. It's truly amazing how a small piece of metal that most people ignore can become a millionaire's prize. The 1965 Washington quarter proves that history, rarity, and condition can turn the most ordinary coin into something extraordinary. And because these quarters were widely circulated, it's entirely possible that one of these rare silver errors is still out there, waiting to be discovered. So next time you're sorting through loose change, don't overlook the quarters. Check the dates, look at the edges, weigh them if you can. That extra few seconds might lead to a once-in-a-lifetime find. Thanks for watching and joining us on the step dive into the world of the 1965 Washington quarter. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear more stories about rare coins, valuable errors, and hidden treasures, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Let us know in the comments if you've ever come across a valuable coin or what you're hoping to find next. Until then, keep your eyes open, your pockets full, and your curiosity alive. You never know what incredible value might be hiding in plain sight. Let me know if you want this adapted into a short-form script or voice-over-ready version for narration. I can also help write your YouTube video title, tags, and description to maximize views. Welcome back to the channel where we explore the rarest and most valuable coins hiding in your pocket change. If you've ever thought about skipping past that pile of quarters sitting in your drawer, think again. Today we're diving into the story of the 1983p Washington quarter, a coin that has recently captured the attention of collectors worldwide for one reason. A rare version of this coin has reportedly been sold for a jaw-dropping $1.4 million. That's right, a 25-cent coin minted in 1983 that someone once used to buy a soda is now worth more than most homes in America. So what makes this particular quarter so special? Why is it worth so much? And how can you tell if you might have one of these incredible coins in your own collection? Sit back and get ready to learn the full story behind the 1983p Washington quarter, its history, its value, and how one small minting decision helped turn it into a modern treasure. Let's begin with the basics. The Washington quarter has been a part of American currency since 1932. It was originally introduced to celebrate the 200th birthday of George Washington, and its design by John Flanagan became a staple of American pocket change for decades. On the front, we see a bold and familiar image of George Washington's profile. On the back, until the State Quarters series began in 1999. We see a detailed eagle clutching arrows, with wings spread wide, a symbol of both power and peace. By the early 1980s, these quarters were no longer made from silver. Since 1965, the U.S. Mint had switched to a copper-nickel-clad composition. This was a cost-saving decision made during a time when silver prices were rising. So in 1983, quarters were produced using the standard copper core with the nickel outer layer. That makes the 1983p Washington quarter common on the surface. In fact, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 673 million of them. But here's the twist. Most of those coins were used. They were spent. They were circulated heavily, and nearly all of them were damaged or worn down over time. Now let's talk about why 1983 was such a unique year. In the early 1980s, the U.S. Mint did not produce official mint sets for collectors in either 1982 or 1983. That means there were no specially preserved coins released in those years like in other decades. Almost every 1983 quarter that exists today came straight from everyday circulation. As a result, finding a 1983p quarter in high-grade, uncirculated condition is extremely difficult, and because of that, prices for pristine 1983 quarters have gone through the roof. But that's only part of this story. The real treasure lies in a specific 1983p quarter that contains a dramatic mint error. It was struck on the wrong plankett, or coin blank, and that one mistake made this particular coin a millionaire's dream. Instead of being struck on the standard copper nickel-clad blank, it was struck on a solid copper plankett, the type of material used for a penny. This quarter looks unusual. It's redder in tone, it weighs less than a normal quarter, and the details are slightly different because of how the metal reacted under the pressure of the strike. This error coin was authenticated by professionals and graded by a top-tier grading company. It was sold in a private transaction and is believed to have changed hands for an incredible $1.4 million. That makes it one of the most valuable error coins ever associated with the Washington quarter series. But even beyond that one legendary error, 1983p quarters are already valuable in high-grade condition. A normal 1983p quarter in mint state 67, with no errors but perfectly preserved, can fetch thousands of dollars at auction. In fact, one sold for over $4,000 not long ago. That's a huge return on a coin that most people still think is only worth 25 cents. So how do you know if your 1983p quarter is worth serious money? Here's what to look for. First, check the condition. Most circulated 1983 quarters have scratches, dings, and wear on the high points of the design. But if you come across one with sharp details, no visible damage, and its original mint luster, you could be holding something rare. Second, check the weight. A standard 1983 quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If it weighs significantly less, say somewhere in the range of 3.1 grams, then it may have been struck on a penny blank, which could be the $1 million error. Third, examine the color. A copper quarter will have a reddish tone and may look completely different from the usual silver-colored quarters you're used to seeing. And fourth, never clean the coin. Cleaning a coin, even gently, can drop its value dramatically. If you think you have a rare or valuable example, Send it to a professional coin grading company like PCGS or NGC. They'll evaluate your coin, confirm any errors, and assign it a grade that determines its market value. It's also worth mentioning that other known errors exist for 1983 quarters, including double die strikes, off-center errors, and partial color strikes. All of these can add significant value to the coin, especially when combined with strong eye appeal or uncirculated condition. The story of the 1983p Washington quarter is a perfect example of how ordinary coins can hide extraordinary value. And the best part, these coins were never locked away in collectors' albums. They were spent, handed out, dropped onto vending machines, and carried across the country in wallets and purses, which means one of them, maybe even the $1 million error, could still be out there waiting to be found. So the next time you get change at the store or dig through an old coin jar, take a moment to check the date. If you see 1983 and the P-mint mark for Philadelphia, take a closer look. You might be looking at one of the most valuable quarters in the world. Thanks for watching today's video. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1983p Washington quarter and want to see more rare coin stories, collecting tips, and hidden treasures revealed, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a future upload. Drop a comment below and let us know what rare coins you've found or are still searching for. Until next time, keep hunting, stay curious, and remember, sometimes the smallest coins can carry the biggest surprises. Let me know if you want this adapted for Reels, short-form TikTok-style content, or as a blog post. I can also help with SEO-optimized titles and tags for YouTube.